Welcome back to Spitballin Cards. In today's video, we're talking all about players who are hot, players who are cold, and players who are hurt. So in this episode, you have me, Scott, Phil, Chris, and Ty. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Jeff, we miss you. Hope you're doing well. He's not here this week, but he'll be back next week if he's your favorite. But let's just jump into this. The one player we all wanted to discuss, and we were all freaking out in our group chats about it, was Juan Soto. Juan Soto had forearm tightness, which is usually the injury that leads to Tommy John. It can mean it's Tommy John, right? That's usually what happens, is a tight forearm in his throwing arm. And I think all of us felt pretty concerned. So I think we all have some Juan Soto. So I want to hear your thoughts on that and just the state of injuries. So obviously he's fine. He's playing today, 1 for 3 at the walk. Phil, what do you think about Mr. Soto and forearm tightness?
Yeah, the first thing I did was freak out a little bit. You know, I know with pitchers, often forearm tightness can be a precursor to a more serious elbow injury that requires Tommy John. So yeah, naturally I'm getting a little scared, and it's crazy because 2-3 years ago we didn't freak out about elbow injuries with hitters, but now Bryce Harper's gotten Tommy John, and so has Jason Dominguez. You're just thinking the worst. It's like, well, why would they have mentioned this? Well, it was a rain delay. Right. So that was like the one thing we kind of hold on to, like, well, maybe, just got tight, with the rain, and they didn't want to bring him back out there. It's already been a long game. But then at the same time, you see it was reported that Jason Dominguez was pulled out of the game at the same time in AAA. And you're thinking like, oh, is he going to be the replacement? Right. But once the imaging results came back the next day and said it was just inflammation, felt a lot better. And first game back today is the DH. So unfortunately, he's not going to go 162 games like he did last year, like he wanted to do this year in a contract year. But so far, he's just missed 3 games. Coach says that he's most likely to miss the IL, which, can you really trust his words there? I guess we can now because he's playing. So I'm happy with that. Now, a lot of us were talking about, like, they should just make him in the DH for the whole rest of the year. Like, I don't know. Like, if it's not right, it's not right. But I can kind of see that argument for sure. That kind of takes away the MVP, though, if Soto becomes a permanent DH, because we've all seen what that does to players' WAR and how much that matters in the MVP voting and stuff. So happy that Soto's healthy, and I'm sure Chris is too, and everybody else here, because we all own at least one Soto.
Yeah, and I will say, Phil, Corey Seager's another one I can just think of who had Tommy John in the last few years. So it's been rising, which is unfortunate. Chris, did you by chance buy any Juan Soto before this announcement?
I mean, of course I did. And I was definitely the victim. Well, victim's a strong word, but I was the focus of some aggressive Instagram attacks. As soon as Juan Soto was out of the lineup, I got all these messages. But like, you bought a card, didn't you? Like, you SOB, like, you're going to ruin this for all of us. Like, stop buying cards. But in fact, yes, I have an incoming Soto that's not here yet. So I feel like if he is going to go on the IL, it'll wait until, eBay authenticates the card and then sends it to me. I saw the level of panic that was just going around the baseball and baseball card community was interesting. Obviously, I'd seen it a few weeks earlier with Acuna, which obviously ended a lot more sad. But people, I think I mentioned it to at least one of you, that it was going around that his second throw, Soto's second throw from the outfield, was only like 57 miles an hour. So people were trying to get video, and it turned out it was like he's just lobbing it in. It wasn't like a play at second or anything. But I mean, yeah, there's like kind of an epidemic of baseball players just getting hurt. I feel like it's not a good sign when he's 25 years old and they just don't want him to warm up after a rain delay. Like, yeah. I mean, he should be able to handle that at the age of 25. And he went out of his way to tell the media that no baseball activities bother his forearm, which to me just felt like he's just kind of laying it on a little too thick. So he's definitely in some level of discomfort. If they get out to a huge lead, if Baltimore like craps the bed for 2 weeks, I bet they IL him just to get him a rest. But I don't know. The fact that there was nothing on the MRI is a good long-term solution, but I think he should probably rest at some point.
I think that he wants to play for his contract. Like, the contract is pushing him, and I hope that doesn't bite him in the butt, because realistically, I was surprised he was back as fast as he was. I would have been okay if he was off for a week, so that way all the forearm tightness is gone. Like, I don't know if it's tendonitis or what it is, but that stuff hurts and it swells, and that can lead to a bigger elbow injury if you don't take care of it.
So, yeah, you have to think, if this was another organization with like more of a sane fan base, is he going to be back after just missing 3 days?
Yeah, if he was at the Padres still, like, would he still be out? I bet you he would be, if I had to guess. But it all happened at the worst possible time with the Dodgers. So he was out the first 2 games. Their offense looked very lethargic aside from Judge. Like it was pretty drastic. Game 3, Trinkerson came through and they won, which was good, but pretty brutal. Ty, any Soto thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to pull up his Bowman Auto just to kind of show the price and what that's been doing a little bit over the last bit. There's an interesting sale here right before the injury for $16.50. This is, I'm looking at his PSA 9 just because of sales volume overall and selling more copies. $16.50 on his Bowman First Auto, not the non-refractor, just the regular auto. And then there was another sale post injury. Somebody timed this poorly for 17 or 1170. So this was a PWCC sale, which can sometimes lead to some anomalous transactions. But in general, it's just been really interesting actually to see his prices. I feel like it actually hasn't been a consistent trajectory. If you look at some of his base paper stuff, it's like super all over the place. So in spite of how hot he's been in a lot of his cards, others have been seeing significant ups and downs all throughout the season. This one, his PSA 10, hasn't seen a sale since the injury scare, let's call it. So the last sale was $29.50 in a PSA 10. That was back on, what did I show? That was May 20th. So I'd be interested to see kind of where this one settles in on whatever the next transaction is for sale with this card. But Soto, I don't know. Does this impact his card prices now? Like, what do you guys think in terms of, what to expect with his stuff? I know some of you have been buying his cards. So what do you anticipate now with this injury? If it seems like it's a non-issue for a few weeks, do people kind of just forget about it, or is there concern?
I think if Soto hits, all will be forgotten, and it's not a recurring issue. I think this week people are going to be a little careful. And I think that's probably the right approach, to be honest, because we could find out tomorrow after today's game he had swelling and now he's out for the IL. Like, we could totally hear that in a couple hours. Speaking of Soto cards and us buying them, some of my biggest recent pickups were Soto. I just bought this, and it was at authentication when the announcement happened, and that was sad. But this is the Gatorade Bath SSP PSA 10, so that's cool. And then I also bought this Dynasty, so some big cards. This is his rookie Dynasty auto, and I was feeling it's a gut punch. I think it just reminds you that we're buying cards of active players, and I haven't had the Acuna pain that Chris has had in particular, which is awful. But it's a bad feeling, and it can make baseball not very fun when your favorite players aren't playing.
Yeah. So maybe Soto was your fault, Scott. Because I just bought a 2020 Stadium Club card. So
I saved Soto by buying a card. If it was just you, he would have been out.
Oh yeah, he probably would have been diagnosed with leukemia or something by now.
Gosh.
Phil, any other Soto thoughts? Want to jump to the next player?
No, that's it. Wait and see with Soto. Hopefully he's fine. Let's hope he can stay in right field and hit bombs for the next few weeks, and then we're all good. Just like Acuna was after that knee scare. And we're all good afterwards.
Yep. Just smooth sailing. No one's crying themselves to sleep on a daily basis. Everything's fine.
Have you seen the photos of Acuna after his surgery?
No, I saw some pictures of him at home, with his kids, but I didn't see
He looks so depressed. You can tell he wants to play baseball so bad. Yeah. They're really sad photos. But Phil, you mentioned that playing DH might make it so he doesn't win the MVP. I think the other bigger reason is Aaron Judge, why he's not going to win the MVP. We won't spend too much time on Judge, but already at 5 WAR, on pace for 12 right now. He's pretty dang good, guys. I'm actively looking to buy some. And by the time this episode comes out, I will have either won or lost the auction I'm looking at. So let you know next week.
Yeah, so
Yankee fans beware.
A little bit. Yeah.
Say Yankee fans beware. Scotty's on the prowl, and you never know.
We talked about WAR a little bit on a recent episode. Wasn't very well watched, and one of the things that I brought up was how one of the nice things is you compare a player from multiple generations, right? So Ryan Howard hitting 48, 55, 58 home runs when everybody else in the league's hitting 35. It's not as special. It's not going to help his WAR too much, or as much as it would a year like this year, where offense is really, really down across the board. And that could change. Maybe we get a new baseball, maybe weather, maybe humidors. I don't know what's going to happen. But Judge could put up the best WAR of his career with the second or third best season stats of his career. So something to think about.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has, and I want to talk about Vlad because I've been very impressed with him. He has a 134 OPS plus. So don't take this as a jab at Vlad. It's more of like a praise of Judge because Vlad's been good with a 130 OPS or 34 OPS plus. His OPS is 798 right now. Aaron Judge
7 home runs.
Yeah, but Aaron Judge's slugging right now is 703. So like just to show you how much of an outlier he is, I'm going to share my screen and show you his stat line for this year just on Baseball Reference real fast to give you an idea. And then we'll jump to the next player. But look at this, 1.139. This is a type of level we haven't really seen since Bonds. Trout hasn't even done this. Trout has not gotten into the 200s once in his career. I think Bryce Harper has one time. But other than that, like, it's insane.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting anything. But it's just weird. Like, have we ever seen this trajectory before? Like a huge rookie season, and then 4 years in a row, injuries, no black ink. He hits 30, or age like gets to 30, 31, and all of a sudden just becomes like one of the best hitters we've ever seen.
I think it just goes back to health, doesn't it? It has to. Like what could have been potentially.
Yeah, I don't know.
David Ortiz.
Except
minus the rookie season.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's where you're going. You know?
Yeah, that's a pretty good comp.
You're trying to point to some shenanigans.
No, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. He's just a gigantic person. I don't think he needs any sort of performance enhancement. And they're testing everyone so regularly. You know, only the stupidest of the stupid are actually taking stuff right now. I just think it's weird. But there's no denying how great he has been over the last 3 years. Like, it's an incredible run.
The thumbnail's going to be Chris putting a needle in Aaron Judge's body. So that's what we're going to see.
That should slow down the Instagram death threats that I get. That's good.
Okay, so I want to. Oh, Phil,
I was going to say, let's compare Bonds to Judge. I don't think Judge is there yet. As a guy that holds some Judge, a little bit of Bonds too. Let's compare one of Bonds.
You're a very Bonds fan, and that's okay to say. You have his best card ever. So.
Well,
not a PMG.
That's popular card ever.
That's popular.
The Tiffany.
PMG is worth more. Amit entered the chat there. So
yeah, I mean the OPG one from '87 is probably a little better. I don't know if that one still outsells it. Probably it's more rare. But then there's all the rarer stuff from the '90s. So
which Tiffany card do you have, Phil?
The 86 tops. Yeah, I used to have 3. Sold 2 during the boom before the boom really went even crazier. There were probably comps of that card around 13,000 at one point.
Oh, wow.
But that was like one of the cards where I'm like, you know what? I'm still going to hold this. I still want to hold this one.
Yeah,
where most I think, like, all right, sell at the top or close to the top. Yeah. But,
Barry Bonds is insane. Look at these stats, dude.
Yeah, they're absurd.
Yeah,
they don't know why, right? Like he was a Hall of Famer before the steroids, but the reason, like, this is one.
Yeah, but it wasn't. I mean, everybody was juiced.
Yeah, you can't say everyone was.
I mean, a lot of people say I'm comfortable saying
that's fine. But the reason why he was still healthy at this time was steroids, and the reason why he was doing well, right? Yeah. Like he would not have put those numbers up. He might not even been playing at age 39 when he had a 1.4 OPS.
Yeah,
I think he should be in the Hall of Fame personally, but I still think like these numbers are not even close to what he would have had, in my opinion, if he would have been clean. I think both can be true. Is that fair?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, he's juiced up facing pitchers who are juiced up. I mean, it's a recipe for balls flying out of the yard.
But does he have like 10 seasons? Does he have like 10 seasons with an OBP greater than what Judge has right now? At like 100th percentile OBP? What's Judge's OBP right now?
I think his career OBP is higher than Judge's best year. Let's see. Judge's OBP is 436. Bonds' career is 444.
Yeah, I mean, Bonds was another universe. Like he was just, there's no comping it.
The younger generation seems to take it lighter on Bonds. It'll be interesting to see if he ever makes the Hall of Fame. 7 MVPs is insane, by the way.
Yeah.
8 Gold Gloves.
Everything's insane. Everything about that guy is insane.
Yeah.
You can still have a strong buy thesis on him without him ever making it to the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. All right, let's move on.
Yeah. Enough Hall of Fame talk. I bet you our audience has their own opinions. Let us know. Do you think he deserves to be in there? Okay, Ty, there's someone you wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah. Maybe nobody else cares about this. I do. But I decided before the season to start trying to put together a little bit of a Tarik Skubal PC, and he has been dominant, like utterly dominant this year. He's definitely in the Cy Young conversation for the AL. And he's, along with some of their starting pitching for the Tigers, is what really has them even competing in the AL Central, which has been surprisingly competitive overall. But I'll show you kind of some of what's been going on with Skubal and some of his cards, because it's pretty exciting. So he's overall up about 23% over the last 90 days on his cards, but there are several cards that are up significantly more than that, especially if you start looking at his autos, some of his different autos. So his Bowman Mega Box, this one is, pretty nice looking card, although kind of a boring photo. That one's up 89% over the last 6 months. His Chrome Prospect First here, this one, better photo for sure. This is the number to 299. And you see a lot of these are raw because not a lot of people were grading a lot of Skubal stuff. There's not a lot. The pop counts are pretty low with PSA. That one is up 200% over the last 180 days. Then just his Topps Chrome Rookie Auto up most recently, a couple bigger sales on that one, raw, up 479%. So Skubal stuff has been moving. I picked up a really cool Skubal before the season that I was really pumped about, which is this red refractor Mega Box to 5. So I definitely got that one at least before he saw a big spike on his card prices. So Skubal's been really fun to watch. I got in on a discounted rate, I guess, a month into the season on the MLB package to watch the Tigers games. And he's just locating his pitches really well. He touched 102 yesterday during the game. And he's really fun. He's really fun to watch. So let's hope, please, Chris, don't buy any of his cards. And let's hope his elbow stays intact, because he's a big guy, and he's just been really exciting. I'm a big pitchers guy. I like watching pitchers. That's what I like the best about the game. So it's been fun collecting him, at least so far.
You picked up one of his Stadium Club Chrome rookie auto too, right?
I did, yeah.
I think that's his best looking rookie card, obviously.
Yeah. So if I come in here, I've been trying something new too, by the way. This is sort of an aside, but Instagram, as you guys know, makes it kind of hard to keep track of things. They just sort of get lost in your feed as you post. So if you send them to your story and then you use the highlights feature, I've been organizing my PC into like different categories. So that's kind of at least for my own purposes. I don't know if anybody else does that, but it's been I guess a good way. But yeah, here you go.
Yeah,
here's the. It is. Oh, I don't know what happened.
Yeah,
I guess kind of lost it, but you saw it. It is a good photo. Leg kick, everything's up. It is definitely a good photo. So,
for some reason, I like cards when you can read the back of the jersey, and you could read the back of his jersey and get the leg kick, get some of the mechanics in there. Unfortunately, his glutes are just chopped off, so I know Phil's not going to be a fan, but the rest of that card is pretty great.
Yeah.
All right,
he's a big guy.
Let's trash this guy now. Oh, how big is he?
He's like 20. I think it's like 265 pounds or something like that.
27 years old. Yeah. 8.6 career WAR. What do we think?
Well, he's at one fewer inning than his total from last year right now. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, Corbin Burns might be a good buy. Sorry, Ty. So if you look at, this is DraftKings right now, June 10th evening. American League 2024 Cy Young Award odds. Skubal plus 125. Wow. Ty probably is going to take that.
Wow.
Corbin Burns, the next few guys in order. Corbin Burns, Tanner Houck, Cole Reagans, Luis Heel, before you get to Luis Castillo at plus 2,000. So of all those guys, like how many are going to go 150 innings? That might do it. Blake Snell won the Cy Young with like 150 or so innings. But I don't. The problem with in my opinion, with Skubal, the risk factor is a little bit higher because he was really good last year. He had arm issues and durability concerns, and this year he comes in throwing like 2 miles an hour faster. Can he touch like 102 now? 101?
He just did yesterday. Yeah, I hit 102.
And everybody's like, dude, you don't need to throw that fast. As a fantasy baseball manager and fan, we're like, we don't need it. You're already like pretty good. Like, why try to be 5% better when you have like a, I don't know, 50% greater chance of staying healthy? I
will say
I
he's not consistently throwing that high. I was just going to pull up his average fastball velocity.
That's only up about 1, I think, since last year. 96.8 or so.
It's led to him being first in baseball. He's first in baseball in FIP and WHIP, though. So I mean that speed's helping.
Yeah, he's winning right now, for sure. And
he's in a great ballpark for
Burns
pitching too.
Doesn't even have a K per inning.
Yeah,
it's not good. That's not going to do it. Like
he's the first Tigers pitcher since Verlander that I've watched where even when he gets like he had runners on first and second, no outs yesterday, and I just wasn't concerned. It's like it was a fluky thing where I think he gave up a walk, and then a guy laid down a perfect bunt and got him first and second, and then he just fans two and gets the last one on like a pop out. It's like, it's just very fun to watch. So
here's a pretty cool thing about Tarik Skubal. Looking at his baseball reference page, in 2021, in 149 innings, he let up 35 home runs. So not great. 4.3 ERA. In 2022, he had 117 innings. Home run dropped to 9. So he cut it from 35 to 9. In 2023, he let up 4 home runs in 80 innings. So even if you double it to be 160, he had 8 home runs. He's just become nasty. Like, he really has been nasty. I'm just poking fun, Ty, about age and war and everything. I know you collect him because you're a Tigers fan.
Yeah,
I don't. You love the memory of the player. I know that's the right way to collect. But do we think like he could be blossoming into the next pitcher? Like, could this really be something that's sustainable for the next few years? And before we know it, he has 3 Cy Youngs, like we've seen with some players.
That's what I think when we look at starting pitchers now is going to be sort of the interesting thing going forward is really like awards. If these guys aren't going to like rack up the same amount of innings and the same amount of wins and even strikeouts that we've seen old, guys from a bygone generation do, then if they rack up multiple Cy Young awards and they're just consistently the best, for a duration of period, maybe that's what eventually makes sort of a Hall of Fame case, which I wouldn't even really begin to say around him right now. But I think it's fun to watch. Even just, kind of to geek out. Like I used to play a lot of baseball video games, and you look at his pitch arsenal. 97 touching upwards of, into triple digits with his 4-seamer. Then he brings it down to 86 on average with his changeup. So, I mean, he was just like pulling the rug on guys yesterday. 97 on his sinker, 89 slider, 79 curveball, which he barely ever uses. But to have that much variability in speed and motion, location, and he can hit all the spots with it. It's I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to watch. I feel like there's other pitchers in baseball right now who are really exciting, who have nasty stuff, but they don't locate well, or vice versa. So Trevor Williams is out there just locating perfectly, throwing like 88. So there's to get that combination of this many different pitches with that much velocity difference and locating his pitches. It's he's fun. It's been fun trying to track down some of his cool cards.
You need that overpowering stuff, as you're saying, Ty, to be a short term, even if it's a short term hobby asset. Like Spencer Strider had that going for him. 2 pitches, still kind of coming into his own. Obviously, the overall stats are pretty good, higher ERA than what we would have liked, of course. But maybe that comes down in years to come when he gets the home run issue solved. But with Skubal, he's a fun guy to watch. Not everybody's as fun to watch as him. And when 85% of the hobby doesn't buy pitchers, then you're keeping all those prices down. And when more and more people get burned, like Chris, that stops. There's even fewer people buying. So there's higher upside with those guys, because then everybody's like, oh, Skubal, he's awesome. They all kind of crowd in. And that's what leads to like the 3, 4, 5x returns that a lot of people are getting now.
Yeah. Skubal does have a really great SSP rookie image too in 2021. I think it's
the dugout.
Yeah, I like that card.
I just passed on that dugout. I sent it in our chat. A PSA 9 hit eBay, and I was gonna just smash the bin on it. Maybe people will think this is ridiculous, but for some dumb reason, PSA on that particular label put Super SP instead of SSP, and it just annoyed me, and I like waited. I was like, it annoyed me.
It annoys me too. I've seen that. I don't understand how that happens.
I don't know.
Like, I can't wrap my head around how.
And then I saw the guy on Instagram who ended up buying it, so at least somebody I knew snatched it right after I was.
All right.
Well, I think it's a great place to. Oh,
what's that? I want to talk about. We just spent. That's the longest sustained conversation about a Tigers pitcher in I think recorded human history.
We lost everybody.
I'm not going to buy. We're talking about pitchers. The last two pitchers I brought up on the show have combined for 2 starts this season. So with that in mind, I'm going to destroy another pitcher by saying that I'm really intrigued by this guy, and his cards are not as expensive as I think they should be, but I'm not going to touch them because I don't want to actually cause a man to die. But we should look at Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler's career, it's starting to look really, really good. He is not slowing down. His team is great. He's going to have more postseason exposure. This could be the Cy Young year that everyone's been like waiting to see. And his stuff is pretty affordable. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think that's a great place to end. I did say I want to give Vlad a shout out. 134 OPS plus, second best OPS plus of his career up to this point. League offense is so down. 807 OPS is a 134 OPS plus, which is interesting. So thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments down below what your thoughts are, and we will see you in the next video.